Ever since I was a kid, I've been what you might call a magnet for the weird. I don't mean strange hobbies or quirky friends. I mean the kind of weird that makes the hair on your arms stand up for no reason, the kind that lurks in the shadows just at the edge of your vision. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for Julian. He transferred to my school in the middle of junior year. Instantly, he was the talk of the town. He had this old-world charm about him, with dark, intense eyes that seemed to look right through you, and a smile that never quite reached them. He dressed like he just stepped out of a classic black-and-white film, impeccably tailored, always in dark colors. The girls swooned, and the guys wanted to be him. Me? I was just intrigued. We ended up in the same literature class. The topic was Gothic fiction, Dracula, Frankenstein, all the classics. While everyone else was struggling to stay awake, Julian was electric. He'd debate the professor, offering insights so profound, it was like he'd known the authors personally. He spoke about 19th century London as if he'd walked its gaslit streets. Everyone else thought he was a genius history buff. I just thought he was a little extra. One afternoon, he found me in the library, sketching in my notebook. He came up so quietly, I didn't notice him until he spoke, his voice a low, smooth murmur right by my ear. "That's beautiful," he said, looking at my drawing. I nearly jumped out of my skin. I mumbled a thank you, my heart pounding from the surprise. He pulled up a chair and we started talking. And we just didn't stop. He was fascinating. He talked about art, music, and philosophy with a passion I'd never seen before. He asked me about my dreams, my fears, the things I'd never told anyone. It felt like I'd finally found someone who understood the strange, quiet parts of me. For the first time, my own weirdness didn't feel so lonely. We became inseparable. Julian was the best friend I never knew I needed. But there were things, odd things. He never ate in the cafeteria. Ever. He'd always claim he'd eaten a big breakfast, or that he had a sensitive stomach. He only ever drank this dark, crimson-colored juice from a sleek, silver flask he carried everywhere. When I asked what it was, he'd just smile and say it was an old family recipe. He also had a strange aversion to sunlight. He'd walk on the shady side of the street, wear long sleeves even on the hottest days, and our hangouts were almost exclusively after sunset. We'd take long walks through the park at night, or sit by the lake under the moonlight. I thought it was just a romantic, poetic quirk of his. It felt special, like our friendship existed in its own secret, nocturnal world. The parties were the weirdest part. Julian loved them, but not for the reasons you'd think. He never danced or drank. He'd just stand in a corner, watching everyone with this intense, predatory focus. His eyes would scan the crowd, lingering on people's necks. I thought he was just shy, an observer like me. I was so wrong. One night, there was a huge party at a classmate's house. The music was deafening, the air thick and sweaty. I was feeling overwhelmed and went outside for some air. Julian followed me. We were standing by the pool, and I was complaining about how crowded it was. He just smiled that strange, sad smile of his. "It's a smorgasbord," he said, his voice barely a whisper. I didn't understand what he meant. Later that night, I saw him talking to a girl from our chem class, Sarah. He had her backed into a dimly lit corner of the garden. He was leaning in close, his hand on the wall next to her head. She looked completely mesmerized, her head tilted back, her eyes half closed. It looked intimate, so I quickly looked away, feeling like I was intruding. A few minutes later, Sarah stumbled back into the party, looking pale and dizzy. She complained of a sudden migraine and went home. Julian reappeared at my side, looking more vibrant and energetic than I'd ever seen him. A tiny drop of red was on the collar of his white shirt. He brushed it away quickly when he saw me looking. I convinced myself it was a drop of punch. The incident that shattered my denial happened a few weeks later. We were studying at my house for a history final. It was late, close to midnight. My mom had left out a plate of garlic bread for us. When Julian saw it, he physically recoiled. His face went pale, and he looked genuinely terrified. He stammered an excuse about a severe allergy and practically fled from the kitchen. An allergy? To garlic bread? It was bizarre, but I just added it to the growing list of Julian's eccentricities. A little later, I was looking for a book in the living room. I have this antique silver mirror that's been in my family for generations. Julian was walking through the room, and I happened to glance at the mirror. I saw my own reflection, the bookshelf behind me, the lamp on the table, but not Julian. He walked right past it, and there was nothing. No reflection. Just the empty space where he should have been. My blood ran cold. I stood there, frozen, trying to process what I'd just seen. It was impossible. A trick of the light? A smudge on the mirror? I tried to rationalize it, but the image was burned into my mind. I didn't see my best friend walking past. I saw an empty space. I couldn't look at him the same way after that. Suddenly, all the weird quirks clicked into place like horrifying puzzle pieces. No food. The dark juice. The aversion to sunlight. The allergy to garlic. His impossible knowledge of history. The way he watched people at parties. The dazed look on Sarah's face. No reflection. It all pointed to one insane, impossible conclusion. I had to know for sure. The next day at school, I was a nervous wreck. I found him by his locker and tried to act normal. "Hey," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "Crazy question, but do you happen to have a splinter? I was thinking of using this." I pulled out a small, silver cross necklace I always wore. The reaction was instantaneous and terrifying. The moment he saw it, he flinched back as if I'd struck him. A low hiss escaped his lips, a sound that was not human. His eyes, normally so captivating, flashed with a raw, primal fear and anger. His charming mask fell away, and for a split second, I saw something ancient and predatory looking back at me. He knew that I knew. The game was over. He didn't say a word. He just turned and walked away, melting into the crowded hallway. And just like that, he was gone. He never came back to school. He vanished from my life as quietly as he had entered it. It was like he never existed. His records at the school office? Gone. The only proof I had was my own memory and a lingering sense of cold dread. I never told anyone the full story. Who would believe me? They'd say I was crazy. They'd say I imagined it all. But I know what I saw. I know my best friend was a vampire. Sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet, I think about him. I wonder where he is, and if he ever thinks about the human friend who discovered his secret. My life is normal now, but it's a different kind of normal. It's a normal where I know that monsters are real, and sometimes, they pretend to be your friend. I'll never look at the shadows the same way again. Thanks for listening to my story. Make sure you like and subscribe, because you never know what other weirdness I've got to share. Stay safe out there.